Greetings, Dallas Cowboys fans. In today's video, I have a lot of exciting updates to share, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel. The team has officially confirmed a trade involving a wide receiver. One of the significant trades that had been mentioned earlier has now been finalized. The details of this exchange have been disclosed by the team. The organization will receive a wide receiver along with a 6th round pick for the 2027 draft, which refers to the following year's draft, not the immediate one. In return, the team will obtain a 5th round pick also for 2027, resulting in a swap of picks on the 3rd day of the next year's draft. The most relevant asset involved is a 3rd round pick for the 2026 draft, which seems to be the key factor that facilitated this negotiation. Previously, the team had not ventured into this part of the draft, according to prior reports. This trade has significant implications, marking an important move for the team as it brings in a new wide receiver, a move that considerably strengthens their receiving core, a topic we will delve into shortly. I also want to explore broader aspects such as contract implications, the pros and cons, and the immediate news surrounding it. It is undeniable that this receiver could have a positive impact on the field. He could be considered an enhanced version of one of the previous top receivers with a more refined style of play. Despite participating in only 14 games last season, he managed to rack up 900 yards in receptions. I believe he is among the few players in the past 2 or 3 years who have reached at least 16 yards per reception, amassing over 2,000 yards, or maybe this statistic only refers to the last 2 years. Of course, there are some notable drawbacks that will be examined, but there are also many positives. The most important fact is that he is positioned as the number 2 receiver, at least for this season. However, I do have some uncertainties about the long-term prospects. In the past 2 years, he has consistently demonstrated his skills. I can't recall the exact number, but there are valid concerns to address as well as important positive aspects. The main advantage is that he is really taking on the number 2 receiver role, at least for this season. However, I have concerns about his long-term outlook. Will he be re-signed? We'll explore this in more detail soon, but the crucial point is that a number 2 receiver was needed, and now the team has one. It was a significant acquisition. It would have been interesting if the organization had traded for a 4th round pick, as I had humorous content prepared for that possibility, considering the apparent aversion to those picks. However, the talent being acquired is undoubtedly the best available alternative. I truly don't believe there was another more qualified player who could have realistically been obtained. There certainly could have been an attempt to negotiate for another receiver, but that would have required a significant package, something clearly unfeasible. In terms of realistic possibilities, I see this new receiver as the most talented player available. There are some downsides I would consider, such as issues related to his behavior on the field. Let's analyze the positives and negatives, as well as the contract implications and what this means for the future. In the comments, I invite you to share your evaluations of the trade if you haven't already. This is the 3rd video covering this topic, following a previous one. Please rate the trade on a scale from A to F. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. One notable advantage is the significant improvement at the wide receiver position. Previously, there was no one with this skill on the team. It was essential to have a number 2 receiver to be more competitive than what was projected for next season. This improvement was necessary, and the new receiver represents a considerable upgrade over previous players. Had a starting receiver gotten injured, the situation would have been critical. Previously, I would have rated the roster as one of the weakest in the receiver position. Now, however, the situation has changed, and I believe it has at least reached an above-average level. The emergence of Jalen Tolbert over Turpin and Mingo brings a new perspective to the team. If anything happens to Lamb, the wide receiver situation could become delicate. However, without CeeDee Lamb, I believe this could be the least efficient receiving core in the NFL. The fact is, the situation has improved, and now it positions itself above average. This is an initial positive, a great achievement. Furthermore, he fits well into the system. One might argue that given CeeDee Lamb's relevance, his complementary receiver could be anyone, whether a fast player or a taller option in the outside. Receiver position. Although we shouldn't expect him to become a Dez Bryant, a tall receiver capable of making vertical plays is necessary. George Pickens fits perfectly into this profile. It's been a long time since there was a real vertical threat among wide receivers, and George Pickens brings that element. If short routes are called, Pickens can excel in those plays. For deep passes, he has the size and athletic ability that have been scarce in the position. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches tall with a 44.7 second 40-yard dash and weighing around 168 pounds, his measurements are impressive. Moreover, the team has adopted a selectively aggressive approach, something many have criticized. For years, I've heard complaints about the Cowboys' lack of movement. They seem resigned to being a 9 or 10 win team, which would not make them title contenders. It's important to highlight this because this change could positively impact their playoff chances. This approach involves risks but offers significant potential for team improvement, which is crucial. Therefore, it's fair to recognize the initiative they took in adopting a selectively aggressive strategy, as promised. A significant trade was made, and we can explore the sports aspect later, but there were expectations for more impactful actions. They didn't limit themselves to acquiring just any wide receiver. Contract discussions and other matters will follow, but the conversation is progressing. On the other hand, there's a negative point to consider. George Pickens may be seen as a problematic player. It's not about criminal issues, but he exhibits behaviors that need to be addressed. His coach publicly criticized him, mentioning the need for maturity and responsibility. Frequent delays in games and meetings were a constant. This kind of conduct needs to be addressed and corrected in the locker room, as it's a legitimate concern that cannot be ignored. Disregarding it would be like burying your head in the sand. In reality, the organization has highlighted the importance of cultivating a healthier culture and improving internal dynamics. This is the way forward. Don't believe this should be ignored. It's essential to acknowledge this situation instead of disregarding it entirely. There has been much debate about improving the culture and dynamics within the locker room, something crucial to attracting this type of athlete. However, legitimate questions arise about whether the current environment is suitable. In theory, there is robust leadership, but how this materializes in practice involves certain risks and disadvantages. This point is crucial because it helps explain why he is available at the moment. If there hadn't been issues with the coaching staff during his time in Pittsburgh, he wouldn't be on the market. The team would be striving to keep him. The expectation is that a new environment will facilitate his development. New updates and speculations about the team will continue to be shared. Recently, 3 videos were made in about 12 to 13 hours about the situation, which is quite significant. The trade's cost is also relevant. The 3rd round pick is not insignificant. I consider it worth the risk. Without a doubt, there's an element of uncertainty, as his 3rd round pick could open up several possibilities. Typically, it would be around the 8th spot, possibly 9th, but most likely in the 8th range. Historically, the team has had picks like the 88 and 91 spots in recent years, and this one is likely to fall in line with the expected wide receiver class for next year. It could be a significant addition, but it's important to highlight that this is a selection for a team that generally makes good picks. Another point I want to delve into is that this will be the final year of his contract. Reports suggest that at this point, he is not interested in seeking an extension because he wants to showcase his abilities and explore the open market next year. This brings the risk that the situation could turn into a 1-year rental. This is the final year of the contract. Sources indicate that there is no interest in an extension at this moment because he intends to showcase his abilities and take advantage of the open market next year. Therefore, there is a risk, as this could result in a 1-year rental. If he leaves, he's likely to secure a considerable contract, which wouldn't be such a negative outcome in the broader picture. I'll dive deeper into how these costs could manifest, but I believe this situation will take some time to resolve. In the current scenario, would you prefer to extend the contract? Use Y for yes and N for no. Share your thoughts in the comments. Personally, this is a complex decision for me, as I have the concerns mentioned earlier. Do you trust his football qualities enough to offer what he would likely be seeking and what he'll demand? If he performs well this season, we will have a clearer view of what his value could be. Currently, it seems that his representatives are seeking at least $30 million annually. You are already paying $34 million for CD Lamb. Other teams and players are also making substantial investments in their receivers. For example, A.J. Brown occupies around the 11th spot on the list, demanding about $60 million a year. The Miami team made large payments to TYREEK Hill and Jalen Waddle. The Cincinnati team is also committed to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. The top-tier receiver market has varied around $28 to $29 million per year, which is what you can expect. Therefore, looking ahead to next year, you could be facing a cost of $30 million if you want to keep this player at that level, and I can assure you that his agent is fully aware of this. They both share the same representation, which adds another layer to this situation. You're facing a circumstance where the amount is set at $30 million if you choose to pay this amount to an athlete. And I can say that the agent is aware of this. He may have publicly stated that certain players are represented by a specific agent. What does this tell us? It's unlikely that you'll get a discount on the value, or there won't be a friendly agreement between the team and this agent regarding this athlete. The amount is likely $30 million now, and if he has an exceptional season, this value could even increase, as he may believe he has the potential to be a #1 receiver on another team and secure between $34 and $35 million. This is one of the reasons why it would be advantageous to make the payment to a specific player now. This creates cap space, both in the short and long term, putting the team in a better position for negotiations, avoiding complications. Let's explore some more extension-related issues. Is it feasible to accommodate all these players if you wish to? Currently, the team isn't paying many athletes. Looking at the long term, beyond this year, the only certainties are the contracts of certain players so far. There aren't many investments when we look more broadly. You also have to consider other players. The team could accommodate many other athletes. There are examples of other franchises that have done this repeatedly. You'll have to spend over $40 million a year on one of the players. Again, it's feasible to make all these moves. The priority should be the payment to the player mentioned. There's a possibility that this is a one-year rental, perhaps 1 year under the franchise tag for this player. I don't see this as such a negative outcome, depending on what you get on the field, but it's essential to finalize the player's contract. Suddenly, your cap space increases and your results improve for the next year. This is exactly what should be done if you are in the team's position. So in terms of predictions, will a particular player be paid before training camp begins? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Considering the final reflections on this specific trade involving a player for the team. In the end, there are risks and disadvantages. This choice reflects a certain level of gamble made by the organization. Considering the cost versus potential benefits, I believe it's ultimately a worthwhile effort. I don't see this as a top-tier acquisition, given that there are factors requiring careful attention, especially regarding difficult behaviors and delays in commitments. However, when it comes to securing a truly enhanced receiver, I'm not sure there was anyone realistically available. Therefore, considering the costs, benefits, and disadvantages, this gamble seems understandable for the team in question. Furthermore, a move was made that aligns with the expectations we have regarding management. There is potential for further discussion on this topic in the future. Tomorrow, I question whether the transactions have already been finalized. At least one player will need to be cut, as the roster is already at its limit. Therefore, a dismissal is imminent. It could involve one of the depth receivers, such as a specific player. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these players was cut, with the team signaling they have other options. I'm curious to see if they'll consider options for the offensive side. There have been some talks about one player, and with another, being a free agent, it's intriguing to think if he could be a viable alternative despite a subpar year. Personally, I'd like to see the team bring in a defensive player, although this might be more challenging than handling the offensive situation. I support all these moves, as it's unlikely they'll be excessively costly or require significant long-term commitments. This is the approach that smart teams adopt, investing strategically while protecting their future. It will be fascinating to observe the team's next steps as we move forward. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a move that has shaken up the NFL landscape, the Dallas Cowboys have officially signed Tyreek Hill to a massive contract, bolstering their already potent offense. Hill, one of the most electrifying wide receivers in the league, is now a Cowboy, and this signing is seen as a game-changing moment for a team that's looking to claim its first Super Bowl title in nearly 3 decades. The deal, worth a staggering $130 million over 5 years, is one of the most lucrative contracts in NFL history for a wide receiver. The Cowboys, known for their high-profile moves in recent seasons, have gone all in on their offensive prowess. With Hill on the roster, the team is expected to transform into one of the most explosive and dynamic offensive units the league has ever seen. Tyreek Hill's arrival in Dallas signals a new era for the Cowboys. Known for his lightning-fast speed and deep threat ability, Hill is a nightmare for defensive coordinators. His ability to stretch the field vertically will open up the Cowboys' playbook in ways that haven't been seen in recent years. Quarterback Dak Prescott, already coming off a strong season, now has an even more formidable weapon at his disposal. Hill's arrival also elevates the play of the entire receiving corps, as defenders will be forced to account for his speed, which could lead to more opportunities for other wide receivers like CeeDee Lamb. This move is also a clear signal of the Cowboys' intentions to contend for the Super Bowl. After years of playoff disappointments, the front office has made a definitive commitment to building a championship-caliber team. Hill's speed and playmaking ability bring an element that the Cowboys have been missing in recent seasons. The home run hitter. Dallas has long been known for its balanced offense, but Hill's presence on the field will allow the team to strike quickly and in devastating fashion. Of course, Hill's signing is not just about the on-field impact. His leadership and experience in big games will provide a wealth of knowledge to a young and ambitious Cowboys squad. After playing for the Kansas City Chiefs and winning a Super Bowl, Hill brings a championship pedigree to Dallas. His ability to perform in high-pressure situations will be invaluable come playoff time. For Hill, the move to Dallas is a new chapter in a career that has already been defined by success. With the Chiefs, he earned 6 Pro Bowl selections, 2 first-team All-Pro honors, and a Super Bowl ring. Now he steps into a new role with the Cowboys, ready to help them reach the pinnacle of the NFL. Hill's electrifying play style and relentless drive make him the perfect fit for Dallas, a team looking to shake off its recent playoff failures and make a legitimate Super Bowl run. For Cowboys fans, this is a moment to celebrate. After years of building a talented roster, the addition of Tyreek Hill brings a sense of excitement and anticipation. With a potent offense now in place, the Cowboys have set their sights on greatness. Whether they can live up to the lofty expectations remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, with Hill in the fold, the Dallas Cowboys offense is officially one to watch. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.